And welcome back. Now, when you come to the USS Alabama in the bookstore, you're going to meet a great American veteran. His name is Colonel Glenn Frazier, and he is the author of this great book called Hell's Guest. And it's about his participation in the Bataan Death March. And an amazing story. Glad to see you. You look great.
Well, I'm trying to live it out. I'm trying to beat the odds now.
You're doing
I'm
great.
88 years old, and the rest of the people that was on the battalion, 90% of them was in 91 or more older. Now, I'm less than they are because I went in the Army at 16 and then I wasn't 21, and I told them I was 21. So that gave me this age for now. I'm still going, and I'm traveling and speaking and doing everything I can, and I'm going to write a new book. And I have a new publisher, and this book's going to go around the world in 6 different languages, and I can get as many languages as I want. So
Well, tell me about the book. What's it about?
what the book is about? What's the next book?
No, this one, Hell's Guest.
Hell's Guest is a book, and it's told. My story is told in first person, just like I lived it, and it's about me going in the Army at 16 and volunteering for the Philippines, and going to the Philippines before World War II. And I enjoyed the Philippines, and we had a lot of fun and so forth there and all. And on the 8th of December, 6 hours later after they had bombed Pearl Harbor, the force of bombers hit the Philippines and killed 6,000 people. They didn't kill but 2,500 in Pearl Harbor because these airplanes kept coming from the same base, which was Formosa. They could fly, the bombers could fly down there and fly back on the same tank of fuel. So that was and they had to have the Philippines. And on the 20th of the month, December 1941, they invaded us with the 14th Army, one of their best. And we were outnumbered, we were out-experienced, and so forth, and we fought them for 4 months. They had orders from their headquarters in Tokyo to take the Philippines in 2 months and go on to Australia. They never got to Australia because we held them up. And we fought them, we denied them of a beachhead, and in the middle of, around the end of January and 1st of February, and we killed about 6,000 of them trying to establish a beachhead and cut us in two. And MacArthur was able to get out and go to Australia. He didn't leave until March 11th, and this had happened around the 1st of February, 1942. So we denied him, and as a result, MacArthur's down in Australia, and he gave General King and General Wainwright orders to us to fight to the last man. And General Wainwright passed that order on to General King, and General King says, "Well, sir, I'll accept your order, and if you and I are alive, I'll see you in military court because I'm going to surrender in the morning against your orders." And as a result, we were surrendered, and that set up the Bataan Death March. The Death March was, the way I started, is 90 miles. It took me 6 days and 7 nights. And in other words, they killed 3,000 or more on the march. They went in and killed all the people, and the Japanese did, and shot everybody in the hospital. They didn't come to take care of nobody. If you fell down, you were dead. If they caught you talking to somebody else, they're dead. If you picked up anything that was thrown to you by the Filipinos in these little villages, they would shoot you, and they'd go in there and kill everybody they could find in there. It was a terrible situation. We went to Camp O'Donnell, and it was a hellhole within itself. And then I stayed there about 3 weeks, and I got out on a Talbot road detail. And it was one of the roughest details ever. 306 men went out, and then 3.5 months we only had 25 alive. And then I went back to Bilibid Prison in Manila for rehab, and then around the 20th of October 1942, they shipped me, it was actually 49 plus me, 50 of us, on a small freighter to Japan. And when we arrived at Japan, they told us we was guests of the emperor, and that's why I made my book, Harold's Guest, because they treated us worse than animals. And we had our main diet was rice with the white worms with the black eyes.
Yeah.
And we had such sayings as, "Don't leave your bowl sitting there within the rice with you, it might crawl off." all kinds of things. In other words, I was beat, bayoneted, I was up for execution. I talked myself out of that, so forth, and we went through 3 years of pure slave labor in Japan, at Osaka and Tanagawa and Kobe, and the last one was at Suruga. At Suruga, we was unloading ships that had soybeans, rice, and dried fish, and we ate like everything. And I went from 125 pounds up to 168 when turned in. And when the war came to close to an end, we were prepared. They were prepared to kill all prisoners of war when they landed on. Americans landed on their soil. And then here comes the first atomic bomb. It was Hiroshima, and they told us the next day that that we were going out to the rice field, and they took us out to a rice field. It comes 2 trucks. One truck, the first truck had 4 machine guns and 16 soldiers, and the second truck had picks and shovels and 10 soldiers. They gave us 326 hours. They gave us a place for each one of us to dig our own grave, 6 foot long, 2 foot wide, and 4 foot deep. And we said, if you don't have it in 2 days, you're in trouble. Well, none of us had it in 2 days. You got your execution going to come. It don't make any difference. You're going to do everything you can to hold it off. And as a result, the third day we went out there, and there was a big bulldozer there. So we knew it was going to be a mass grave. So that was the day they dropped the second bomb on Nagasaki. And at the same time they dropped this bomb on Nagasaki, the atomic bomb, they dropped 32,000-pound bombs in 30 different cities. The B-29s did. And that proved to the Japanese emperor that they could fly in and kill everybody. And that's when he came to the table.
You know, there are people that would say what you've been through would make you a very bitter, angry, vindictive type person, but I don't detect that in you. How do you explain that?
You don't now, but if you'd seen me up to 30-something years after I came home, I was full of hate. And I hated them. I was beating my chest like a gorilla, saying, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them until I die. But I had to be humbled, and I fell out of the bed one night crying, and I did, and God humbled me. And the preacher told me I had to forgive him. I thought it was impossible, but I did. It took me 2.5 years to divest myself of the hate. And I woke up one morning and I said, it's been 3.5 weeks since I had a nightmare, and I haven't had one since, and that's 29 years ago.
Well, praise the Lord. Glad to hear that. So how can people get a hold of your book?
Well, you can go to Amazon right now, and on the new revised book, it's on Amazon. Or they can come by the Battleship Park here in Mobile. They can get it in several of the museums around the country, and you can get it by going to my website, www.hellsguest.com, and it's getting to be every place now.
Well, I think it's a story that needs to be told, and I'm glad that you're the tool to tell that story. Congratulations on your service. Thank you for your tremendous legacy. Pass it on to this coming generation.
Well, it's something that everybody needs to know. And one thing that I want to say right here, freedom. You don't know what freedom means until you've lost it. And that freedom is, I put it in the most valuable assets we could ever own. If you were poorer than a church mouse, you still, if you had the freedom, you still had something that was very valuable. And I define or deny the thought of these people trying to take it away from us. And we must keep it at all costs.
Well, God bless you, sir. Thank you for your service to the United States of America, and thanks for being on my show.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody that sees this. Think twice before they go out and vote crazy.
I understand. And we're going to continue with this edition of the Hank Irwin Show from the USS Alabama. Stay with us.